Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman and it's Azure Friday. What if migrating Oracle to Postgres did not mean weeks of manual rewrites and trial and error debugging? Today, I'm going to learn how AI agent workflows inside VS Code can actually convert Oracle schema objects, compile test, and move things live over to Postgres. It's going to be fantastic today on Azure Friday. Hey friends, I'm Scott and it's Azure Friday. We're here with Jonathon Frost. How are you, sir?
Hey there, Scott. Doing great. Great to be here.
So I got to say, like right off the bat, I like a good migration, but then you're putting AI agents involved, and it gets me a little nervous because my question is, as a database person, I would think I would not want ambiguity introduced into my process. I'd want it to be very deterministic. Help me square the circle there.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, and this is something that we put a lot of thought into when we're building and designing this. We went through a lot of iterations in how we were building it and thinking about it, and our solution to addressing that problem was to adjust a lot of the hyperparameters of our model in order to adjusting so the temperature, the top p, in order to increase the level of determinism and make it less variable across run to run. And we also did it through a combination of, because it is multi-agent, having really clear directive prompts that direct each of those agents, plus a set of actual deterministic agent function tools that those agents actually call. So by putting all that together, we found that that plus having an evaluation system of then actually rerunning evals for every time we make a major change to the code base, we're able then to ensure that we're able to keep a level of determinism across multiple runs.
I see. Okay. So we're not using an LLM as a scripting language. We are using it as an orchestrator, and the work is being done by a series of tools that are all custom. So it's a coordination between deterministic scripting tools that have been pre-written and the orchestrator, which is kind of like the overseer of it all, managing the agents and subagents.
That's right. It's a bit of a hybrid, but it's a mix of both, but it's leaning more towards the what you covered there.
Interesting. Okay. So what does this look like? Do you have any diagrams for me to get the big picture here?
Yeah, I sure do. I have a couple diagrams I can walk through here. And so we have this is a overview of the architecture at a pretty high level. But essentially, what how this runs is that this is we're able to leverage our VS Code extension for Postgres that's currently on the marketplace today, and we launched it last year, and it's been a great tool for managing your connections to your Postgres instances as well as managing your database objects. So we were able to leverage that investment and then start adding in more features and capabilities like the migration tooling. So that runs locally, but it does have a few requirements, and that is we do use a mix of an Azure OpenAI endpoint to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Plus, we have another mode that's kind of what we call phase two, which is then you're able to leverage your GitHub Copilot in order to do some of the final fine tuning steps at the end. You connect to an Oracle database up front, you extract all the DDL, and then from there, it's running locally on your file system to then convert that into chunks and actually then migrate that to the Postgres instance that you have selected.
And is this works for databases of any size, any complexity? Are there any limitations we should know about?
Yeah, there are some limitations, and we have it on our Azure Learn Docs. But overall, we've tested it on a number of not only internal schemas, but we've been working with a number of customers on their large and complex schemas, and through our private preview, and now we're in public preview. And we found that we cover a pretty large swath of objects. There are some that we don't cover just due to their complexity and due to their lack of compatibility with Postgres. But what we have found is that Postgres being a very extension heavy and oriented database, there's almost an extension for just about every use case we have that Oracle has where there's not directly a one-to-one matching.
Interesting. Okay. So I can visualize this how it works. It's interesting, and I think it's cool that you've reused or piggybacked on the VS Code extension for Postgres. It makes a lot of sense because people are already spending their time in that extension.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we discovered in talking to a lot of customers and doing a lot of research on this is that we found that developers they love being in VS Code, and then DBAs have also been moving into VS Code as well.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm with you so far. How long does this take? Is this the kind of thing where you're gonna start it and wave your hands, and a couple of days later? Are we talking hours? Are we talking days? Does it really just depend?
Yeah, it does depend, but I can give you kind of a rough idea, and that's something that we've also been, investing into as well, is increasing the speed of it. To be fully transparent, it is slower than previous tools that were rules based and, fully deterministic. So like your
Mhm.
Order 2PG and your more classic, open source or command line tools that were out there previously. But the trade-off of it going a little bit slower is that the quality is much higher. It's able then to have context of the Postgres target database, and it's able then to do self-correction and validation along the way. So we find that, for a large, like a 2,000 object schema, which is kind of a, middle of the road size, it's in the hours, kind of low hours, to
Wow,
complete. So it's something to run and then grab a cup of coffee or 2 and then then come back.
interesting. Okay, I get it. So can we do one? Can we actually do it live?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's just jump in. Yeah. Let me pull up VS Code here, and, we can run it together. So here I am in VS Code, and I have, the extension installed. You can see we have our little elephant icon here, for the VS Code extension. And this is what's new is this migrations pane that, we've introduced now that we've added to our extension. So I'm going to click create project here, and we can just give it a name. And this will just create a folder structure that will be able to house all of our artifacts that are going to get created. I can go next to, fill in our Oracle, parameters, and so I have a cheat sheet over here. I'm just gonna be able to copy paste all my parameters. So I have a this is actually a live Oracle 19c instance I have running in my Azure subscription, and this is just a DNS name, host file name that's just gonna point to my IP address. Pass in my other parameters here. Great. Now I'm going to, connect to the database to load all the schemas. So we can actually do one or multiple schemas at a time, as Oracle kind of organizes its databases by schema effectively.
Mhm.
So these have loaded, and now you can see I can scroll down. I'm going to choose this test case schema as the one that we're going to connect to and use. And then now we're going to choose the target database. And the reason why we do this is that it's not just because we want to, deploy to the database, but we're actually going to use it live. In each of those chunks that we're going to then to create based upon the DDL extraction, we are going to actually validate, automatically against this database, and we're also going to use it for context as well. And I'll explain more about that a little bit later when we get to the final report. So great. Now that we've done that, I can now, put in our parameters for our OpenAI endpoint. So I'm going to do that now.
Okay. And DDL, that's data definition language, right? These are the subset of SQL commands that one uses to define their structure, their database. That's the declarative create table and things like that you do to.
Exactly. You
Okay.
got it. Exactly. Yep. That's that's it.
Okay. So it's BYOK, bring your own key.
It is, yep, for the moment. That is currently how we built it.
Okay. We'll be
Yep.
sure not to steal your key there. It looks like it's
Yeah.
all hidden
Yeah,
there.
it is. Yeah, the endpoint is there, but the key is hidden, but I will be changing that after
Excellent.
the call here. So do a test connection, and now we can go ahead and create the project. And so that's gonna create it for us. And so now we actually have a folder structure. I'm just gonna hide this on the left so we
Mhm.
have a little more room. And I'm gonna close these guys. So I'm gonna click migrate to kick off the project. And so what's gonna happen is that this is gonna do that extraction of that DDL.
Mhm. You can probably hit
And
control minus maybe one, just one bit, just to give us a little bit more space there. There we go.
perfect.
Okay, so there's a deterministic table, extraction there, and then you've got so like these are things that are well-known, thoughtful tooling. This is not pasting your data into a chatbot. This is a sophisticated orchestration. So it's important to call out what's an AI agent and what's just good sense and good engineering.
Yeah, great. That's a really good point, Scott. Exactly. So far, that's what we're looking at here. And now that we're entering the multi-agent orchestration, it's using those same principles, as it proceeds here. Um, So this will take about 2 minutes for this to run, and so, I can actually switch over to, I have the exact same schema in a finished state that I can
Yeah,
switch over to in another
good
instance of
idea.
VS
Do a
Code.
little Julia Childs there where you pull the finished cake out of the other.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So this is what we would see, when it's all done.
Hmm.
And so you can see what would happen is that it would go through the 9 chunks that were extracted and created. It goes through, it's able then to, take each of those chunks, test them against the target database, verify it's successful, and then be able to be complete at the end. And then we get this report that actually then has some details around what actually happened, showing the objects that were converted and extracted, breaking them down by type, so we can see how many functions, procedures, packages, triggers in the more complex objects that we had, as well as the more non-complex of your types and your tables and so forth. Um, we also see the target environment and includes the version of Postgres. It also includes the extensions that were installed in the target Postgres database. And then it uses both the version and those extensions as context. So that way, when it's actually then using that combination of the LLM plus the deterministic tools, is able then to take that into account and then actually manage the migration logic accordingly.
Interesting. And how big was this out of curiosity?
This was a pretty small one. This was just 37 objects that were in the schema.
Okay. And then how do I know? How do I have confidence as the user downstream that this is going to work for me and that this is correct? I see a lot of green checks. It feels correct, but that doesn't mean it's correct.
Yeah, there's 2 things that we can do on top of this. So we can actually close the report
Hmm.
and we can go back to our database itself. And so one option that we have is that because this was all tested on a Postgres database, it's now been deployed to that database as well. So we can go ahead and actually right click on our Postgres database and leverage our Visualize schema feature that we built
Nice.
in. And what's going to happen is that now I can hide these schemas that we don't care about. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. Yeah.
The objects are
Ah,
popping in there. You can see them and then
yeah.
lay them out
ex-
as and basically look at that. And then you could theoretically even write tests on the other side of this if you wanted to against Postgres.
Exactly. Yep, precisely. And then the other thing we can do besides this is that we can actually then go to the folder structure itself
Hmm.
and go to the tables, and then we can right click on this and say compare the file pairs, and then we can actually have a side by side view to see the before and after of what actually happened in the conversion.
Now we're cooking. See, this is what I like because it's AI for toil. It's AI to deal with edge cases and ambiguity, but then it's also well known, understood engineering, and it's the merging of that. It's that hybrid model I think that makes this powerful.
Yep,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think that
Yeah.
like you've said this before that Oracle migrations to Postgres are often blocked by conversion accuracy at scale, and then the amount of time that the developer spends on those edge cases, and that's just toil. It's just no fun, and that being managed by an AI powered migration orchestrator, I think is super cool. Is this in preview or do I have this today?
You have this today. So this is currently in the marketplace, and it's in public preview, but it's available.
Okay, so where do I go to learn more? How do I get this?
That sure thing. So let me pop over back to my slides here. And so once we go to this slide here, we have the extension itself. You can go to this bottom aka.ms link,
Mhm.
and then for the actual documentation on the tooling to learn more, you can go to this top link.
Very cool. All right. Migrating Oracle workloads in an enterprise-ready way using the new AI-powered migration tools. Thank you so much, Jonathan Frost, for taking time with us today.
Thank you so much.
It's Azure Friday, and I'm learning how to move my Oracle stuff over to Postgres. Having fun. Azure Friday.